Hi, sweetie. Another book here. This one is a book of poems, and you will not believe the title. It's called Jump Back, Honey. I say jump back a lot, and very few other people do. And we tried to find the source of it and couldn't. But maybe it's this Jump Back, Honey. The poems of Paul Laurence Dunbar. Okay. Now on the inside, well, first they have not one illustrator in this book. They have 6 different ones. And then they have a little bit about Paul Laurence Dunbar. So let's read it before we read the poems. At the turn of the century, one of America's most famous writers was the poet Paul Laurence Dunbar. He was born on June 27, 1872, in Dayton, Ohio, the son of former slaves. In Central High School, Paul Laurence Dunbar was the only black student in his class. His poems began to appear in school and local newspapers, and he became known as a writer. He was admitted to the school's literary society, and in his senior year was elected president of the society and editor of the school paper. Dunbar wrote the lyrics for the class song, which were set to music by the music teacher and sung at the commencement exercises. After graduating from high school, he would have liked to attend college, but that was out of the question. His mother, Matilda, had worked hard to see him through high school, and he wished to make things easier for her. One of Dunbar's first jobs was running an elevator in a downtown building. He kept a notebook handy on the job and between calls jotted down ideas and worked on poems. In late December of 1892, Paul Laurence Dunbar's first book of poetry, Oak and Ivy, I like that name, was published thanks to the kindness of William L. Blocker, the business manager of the United Brethren Publishing House in Dayton. Dunbar's work brought him national attention. Excuse me. He was both praised and criticized for his poems written in black dialect. Dunbar himself did not speak in dialect, nor did those closest to him. Even Paul's mother had a hard time understanding why her son would choose to write poems in plantation talk. She had worked hard to get rid of the slave dialect in her own speech, and she loved to brag about her son's ability to speak perfect English. But Paul found an important outlet for his lively wit and love of characterization in his use of dialect. Paul's poem Little Brown Baby has become an American classic. Written in black dialect, Little Brown Baby was created out of Paul's childhood memories of his father. When Paul was a child, his father often called him over and invited young Paul to sit on his lap. He would then tell Paul exciting stories that he often made up on the spot. Sometimes the stories were mysterious thrillers that featured the big bug-out man. I know I'm not saying that right. Who could appear at any moment. Little Brown Baby shows the special love a father has for his child. It is a poem that appeals to parents and children of all races. Paul took many odd jobs to support the meager earnings he made as a poet. In the spring of 1893, he found a job as a waiter in a Chicago restaurant. As always, Paul carefully observed people and listened to their ways of speaking. In the restaurant, the other waiters had a code. They came and went from the kitchen to the dining room through a swinging door. To keep from bumping into each other and to avoid the risk of spilling trays of food, the waiters would call out, "Jump back, honey, jump back," as they approached the swinging door. The waiters' lively, repetitive rhythms inspired Paul to write a Negro love song. Although the poem originated in the hubbub of a busy restaurant, it has blossomed into a playful courting poem that has, for decades, enticed lovers to the dance floor. A Negro love song can also be heard on the playground as a jump rope chant. For nearly a century, school children everywhere have come to cherish Paul Laurence Dunbar's poetry. Many can cite it in line and verse in the classroom, at church, with friends, and at bedtime. A favorite with younger children is Dawn, a poem that beautifully captures the quiet mystery of a new day. The poems in this book were chosen carefully for their appeal to children and for the purpose of offering young readers a range of Dunbar's poetic styles, both in standard English and in dialect. Brought vibrantly to life by some of the most beloved African American illustrators of our time, Jump Back Honey is meant to spark the poetic imagination of all who read it. To that aim, Dunbar himself would surely say amen. Okay, so that's the beginning. And now let's read one of the poems. This is the picture. And the name of the poem is Dawn. And it's a short poem. Dawn. An angel, robed in spotless white, bent down and kissed the sleeping night. Night woke to blush. The sprite was gone. Men saw the blush and called it dawn. Oh, I like that poem. I'm going to read it again. Dawn. An angel, robed in spotless white, bent down and kissed the sleeping night. Night woke to blush. The sprite was gone. Men saw the blush and called it dawn. That's beautiful. Here, excuse me. Oh, sorry, they're using the word sprite as a way to refer to the angel. Spring Song. Here's the picture. A bluebell springs upon the ledge. A lark sits singing in the hedge. Sweet perfume scent the balmy air, and life is brimming everywhere. What lark and breeze and bluebird sing is spring, spring, spring. No more the air is sharp and cold, the planter wends across the wold, and glad beneath the shining sky we wander forth, my love and I, and ever in our hearts doth ring this song of spring, spring. For life is life and love is love, twixt maid and man or dove and dove. Life may be short, life may be long, but love will come, and to its song shall this refrain forever cling. Oh, spring, spring, spring. I like that poem too. Let me see, I think I'll read one more. Let's see which one. We'll read more for sure after this. A Boy's Summer Song. 'Tis fine to play in the fragrant hay and romp on the golden load, to ride old Jack to the barn and back, or tramp by a shady road, to pause and drink at a mossy brink. Ah, that is the best of joy. And so I say on a summer's day, what's so fine as being a boy? Ha, ha. With line and hook by a babbling brook, the fisherman's sport we play, and list the song of the feathered throng that flit in the branches nigh. At last we strip for a quiet dip. Ah, that is the best of joy. For this I say on a summer's day, what so fine as being a boy? Ha, ha. I think I might want to read one more. I'm going to read this one. What's that picture? A bird, a bird, a bird. And the poem is called The Sparrow. This is a little sparrow. A little bird with plumage brown beside my window flutters down. A moment chirps its little strain, then taps upon my window pane, and chirps again and hops along to call my notice to its song. But I work on nor heed its lay, till in neglect it flies away. So birds of peace and hope and love come fluttering earthward from above, to settle on life's window sills and ease our load of earthly ills. But we, in traffic's rush and din, too deeply engaged to let them in, with deadened heart and sense plod on, not know our loss till they are gone. We certainly stop and look at the sparrows every day, don't we? Well, that's good for now with this book. We'll read more poems of, let's get his name right, Paul Laurence Dunbar. There's a Dunbar school in D.C. I wonder if it's named after him. We'll look it up and find out. Okay, sweetie pie, I love you. I'll see you soon.